Hi, I'm Dan Tortora reporting live on site in Atlanta, Georgia at the Georgia Dome, the home of the Final Four for this season of 2012-2013. The Louisville Cardinals taking on the Wichita State Shockers and the Syracuse Orange taking on the Michigan Wolverines. Louisville winning in the early game and Syracuse in the latter game not able to win the game to bring it back to a rematch of the Big East title game. Syracuse losing to the Michigan Wolverines. And getting into that game, Syracuse early on allowed Tim Hardaway Jr. to get a three, and threes are the fastest way to beat the Syracuse Orange 2-3 zone. And Tim Hardaway Jr. got a three early on that helped the team to get the advantage. But from there, Syracuse did get the lead 14-9, their biggest advantage 5 points, but that was short-lived as the Michigan Wolverines tied the game at 14 apiece. Trevor Cooney came in for Syracuse at the guard position, hit a three, and was able to give Syracuse the lead, but it was taken back very quickly by the Michigan Wolverines, who got out to an 11-point lead in the first half, up 36-25 at the break. And when you look at the stats for Syracuse and for Michigan, Michigan and Syracuse both having the same amount of steals, same amount of blocks, making about the same number of shots. So really what it was in turnovers, Syracuse had 3, Michigan had 2. So really what it was were the shots that Michigan was making. Michigan hitting their threes is really the difference in the first half of this game, getting out to that 11-point lead. And it wasn't just Tim Hardaway Jr. or Glenn Robinson III or Nick Stauskas. This was a team that had a bunch of different players that can hit from around the perimeter for Michigan. But in the first half, it was their bench of Spike Albrecht and Corus LeVert who were getting the shots down for the team from beyond the arc, helping out Tim Hardaway Jr. In the second half, Syracuse comes out. They're more tenacious. They get it under 11. They get their deficit down to single digits and all the way down to a 2-possession game. But then you have misses from beyond the arc by C.J. Fair and James Sutherland. Sutherland goes 1 of 5 in the game from beyond the arc. This is a guy who is going 6 for 6 in the Big East tournament, so everybody has a bad day. Not the day that you want to have it, though, for James Sutherland. The team gets within 1, 57-56 toward the end of the game, but their last 2 possessions don't go anywhere. Trevor Cooney having to come in for Michael Carter-Williams and Brandon Triche, who both fouled out, both on offensive fouls. So going out of the game are Michael Carter-Williams and Brandon Triche. Trevor Cooney having to step up in this game. Had hit a 3 early on, as I had said. He takes the ball, and he admitted that the play was for James Sutherland toward the end. He goes down toward the basket with the team down by 3 and can't get anything going, down 59-56. He goes up for a tough shot with a defender on him, between him and the basket. Down the right side, right lane, no good, and Michigan gets out in transition, get the dunk, and win the game 61-56. This was the fastest, most offensively explosive team that Syracuse had faced all season, and it showed in the victory for the Michigan Wolverines as Syracuse falls and heads home after making a run that involved 7 wins to just 2 losses in the entire postseason, including the Big East tournament, after going 1-4 in their last 5 games. James Sutherland, hard to say for a lot of Syracuse fans, has played his last game in a Syracuse uniform, as well as Brandon Triche, and as some are thinking, Michael Carter-Williams, which Jerry McNamara, the former player and current assistant coach on the team, admitted is a definite possibility that Michael Carter-Williams could also be moving on. Trevor Cooney putting a lot on himself on that final play that he didn't get the shot in and didn't help Syracuse to come back and win the game or even tie the game. But you can't put it all on him. James Sutherland, 1 of 5. He hits a 3 late in the game to keep Syracuse in it, but he's off. Really, the only good shooter was C.J. Fair, 9 of 20. It's the second time this season that he's taken 20 shots, and it's the second time that he's made 9 of them. 22 points. He leads the entire Syracuse Orange team, and 1 of 2 players to be in double figures for Syracuse. Brandon Triche, the other, with 11 points. On the side of Michigan, they have 3 different players get into double figures. Leading them all is Tim Hardaway Jr., who had 13 points. But looking at Tim Hardaway Jr., you look at the fact that he's hitting threes, and the team really got helped out by those 8 threes, like I said, to provide separation. But he only went 3 of 10 from three-point range. So when you watch the game and you look at the stats, it looks like Michigan, it felt like Michigan, definitely being inside the Georgia Dome, hit more threes, and it looked like Tim Hardaway Jr. had made more of those himself. But the team gets 8 to Syracuse's 3, 24 points to 9 points, and that gives the differential. They win by 6, but you look at what threes can do. Syracuse, making the statement before that, the coaching staff saying, listen, the 2-3 zone tells you got to shoot. And not every team is going to make 9 threes in a game. But in a game like this, Michigan gets close. They make 8. And like Syracuse had stated before, you're not going to win them all because a team really has to be on target in the first and second half from long range, which not a lot of teams are. South Florida had their moments, but they lost. Providence had their moments, but they lost. Georgetown had moments, but they eventually lost to Syracuse toward the end. And Louisville, early on in the first match of the season when they were the #1 team in the country, they have moments, but then they go off as well. Notre Dame, same thing. But in this game, Michigan stayed on, and as I had stated before, the easiest way to beat the 2-3 zone is to hit outside shots. 24 points says a lot about this game that was won by 6 of the Michigan Wolverines. Moving on, but Syracuse, a valiant effort. James Sutherland with all the work that he's done. C.J. Fair topping 1,000 points in his career to go into Syracuse history. Michael Carter-Williams with his assists, ending the season with just under 8 per game. Led the country the majority of the time. Led the country in steals at a certain point in this season as well. And look at what he's done as the 4th-string guard to come in and be the starting point guard between his freshman and sophomore seasons, and as a starting point guard for the team with everything that he's been able to do. Michael Carter-Williams, a lot of credit has to go on his side. He does make those rookie mistakes that you see in a first-year player, which really he is, getting on the floor and having to really be in there outside of last season where he spent a lot of time on the bench, only came in for a few minutes and was behind the likes of Brandon Trish, Scoop Jardine, and also behind Dion Waiters. So making those rookie mistakes, but at the same time, making some veteran moves as well. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Michael Carter-Williams. The NBA talk usually means that the guy is going to go. Once he starts hearing NBA and the potential, there's always an opportunity to leave. But I think Michael Carter-Williams, and you've heard it here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora's video on Wake Up Call, DT.com, part of Dan Tortora Broadcast Media, that I truly believe Michael Carter-Williams needs another season to go to really get better. I understand the lure of money and the lure of playing professionally and the lure of the cameras being on you and people being out there and making money and just having a life that you maybe never dreamed of or you dreamt of but have never gotten close to. But at the same time, I think education is very important in the student part of student athlete, and I think that Michael Carter-Williams could educate himself on the court a lot more. And you look at him as one of the top 10 point guards in the country this season. What he could be next season, as I had said before, probably top 3, if not the best in the country. So Michael Carter-Williams could serve himself better with another year, but Brandon Trish and James Sutherland don't have that option, along with Matt Lyde-Cajuste and Griffin Hoffman. So congratulations on everything that they've done in their career. Griffin Hoffman and also Matt Lyde-Cajuste having to come off the bench, really not playing a lot for Syracuse, but still getting their opportunities, and to the student managers who have to leave the team as well. Very, very hard-fought game. They come back in the second half. The offense turns on. The defense starts to condense Michigan. They don't allow them in transition as much. They don't allow them easy buckets outside of a couple dunks in the second half. They get their hands up. They get out there. They're scrappy. They're tipping balls. They're getting after it. They're getting shots off. Syracuse just really fell, which a lot of teams do, to the sins of the first half, despite playing the way they played in the second half. But here at the Georgia Dome, if you're a Syracuse fan, you ultimately cannot be upset with the play that they had while they were here in all the games that they won, taking down Indiana in the Sweet 16. Indiana, a team who spent more weeks at #1 than anyone else in the country, with 9 weeks in that top spot. They take down Marquette. Buzz Williams, a very, very tough tough out to play. Hard to go up against a guy like Buzz Williams, who no matter what talent he has on the team, always knows how to come back in the second half, and Syracuse holds them to 39 points in that game. And also the work that they did out west, having to go different time zones and getting their body ready, getting their body right, going up against Montana and winning, and then playing a virtual away game against California in San Jose. So Syracuse, despite the loss, did have a lot of positives to look at back out in the season. Trevor Cooney making strides, Jeremy Grant making strides, Baikita making strides, and the rest of this team looking forward to what could be with Tyler Roberson, also Tyler Ennis, BJ Johnson, Chinonso Oboko, and the likes of Ron Patterson. So Syracuse will have a lot of youth next season, but they look to have a guy like C.J. Fair and potentially Michael Carter-Williams. I'm Dan Tortora, live here at the Georgia Dome, and I'll talk to you again.